All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Dianna, and I'm the 2025 President of the Cherokee Association of Realtors, and I'm honored to be the moderator alongside with our 2024 past president for the association, President Mike Stott. And tonight's mayoral panel is focused on connection between our community and its leadership. As realtors, homeowners, business leaders, and community advocates, we all know how critical local leadership is to this great city of Woodstock. So this event gives us all an opportunity to hear directly from each candidate about their plans and positions on issues that matter to us all. I want to thank you for coming out on this Wednesday evening, first of all. I know we all have busy lives, so the fact that you took time out warms my heart, so thank you for being here. And it means that you care about our community and its leaders. On behalf of the Cherokee Association of Realtors, I'd like to thank both candidates for joining us this evening, Mayor Michael Caldwell and Ms. Martha Jean Schindler. If y'all would come up on stage as well, please. Events like this help us strengthen the connection between our community and its leadership. I also want to recognize any current elected officials who were able to attend. Please stand so we can show our appreciation for the service you do in our community and to its citizens. We have any local elected officials. Thank you. And without further ado, let's go into introductions. Mayor Caldwell.
Thank you very much. All right, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. As our moderators shared, it's a busy Wednesday night. Thank you guys for taking out the time to come and show that you care about this city, because this matters. I know many of you in the room, but I don't know all of you, so I'm going to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Michael Caldwell. I'm the 31st mayor of the city of Woodstock. I have been so for 4 years. I got to represent you guys in the Georgia House of Representatives for 8 years before that. I want to say thank you for that. It was the honor of a lifetime. This is a lot more fun, so thank you for that. I also get to serve as the Vice Chairman of the Atlanta Regional Commission, and I'm Brian Kemp's appointment on the Georgia Technology Authority, setting technology policy for the state. And it is an honor to get to represent Woodstock because we live in an incredible city, and we've seen some awesome wins over the last 4 years. And I want to share a lot about those tonight. I married my high school sweetheart. I grew up here in Woodstock. I know we're in Woodstock High School, so when I say I went to Etowah High School, don't boo me. But I married my high school sweetheart. We have 4 children, Oliver, Elizabeth, Charlotte, and Victoria. Oliver is now 10, and Victoria is 3.5 months. So if I look tired, it's because I'm tired all the time. But we've done good work over the last 4 years here in Woodstock. We have lowered your taxes by 15%. We have made investments in the largest investments in our history, in our police, our fire, our roads, our water, our sewer, our parks, and our trails. And before you wonder how we did that while also lowering taxes, was it financially sustainable? We also saw a credit rating increase from Standard & Poor's. We are now AA+, and we are chasing after that AAA+ rating. The work is working. We are one of the most visited cities in the southeastern United States now. We've seen incredible growth, but we're investing in the things that matter to make sure that we build a city that our children will be proud to inherit. I'm very proud to get to serve a small role in helping lead this incredible place. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for the opportunity to do it. I would love the opportunity to get to see those kinds of wins again for another 4 years. But I'm here to represent you. Tonight is a job interview. I'm going to ask you to please sit back, enjoy the show. I'll be listening as well. But ask yourselves, what does the record and what does which candidate has unique qualifications to actually drive these next 4 years forward? Thank you very much.
We'll take that as a reminder also to silence all of your phones, please. Thank you. Ms. Martha Jean.
All right, you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Yay. Okay, so probably not as many of you know me as well as you know Mr. Caldwell. I have lived in Woodstock for about 2 years. I've been in this Atlanta area for the last 10 years. And I'm from a town in Alabama called Fairhope. It's actually the same county that Jeff Moon, our city manager, worked in before he came here. Fun fact. And we have a lot of very similar struggles there to here. So that's really the only reason I bring it up. And also, I bring it up because the reason I love Woodstock, not only is because that's where my husband, who I love, lived when we met, but it reminds me, all the best things about Woodstock remind me of all the best things of my hometown. We have a thriving arts scene. We have amazing schools, which are very hard to find increasingly these days. It is an incredibly safe city. I think it's a very friendly city. It's the first place I've lived since I moved to the Atlanta area where I really felt like I could call it home. And I also started an organization here that you may have heard of. We are the folks that do protests downtown. We're a nonpartisan organization. As progressive as I am and as friendly as I am with people who are on the left, I kind of see wrong things with all sides. And so what our group fights for, and what I fight for, and what I want to fight for as mayor is increasing democracy in our town, and also making it so that more people can live here, because what we have done is priced out all of the working class folks so that they can't continue to live here. When you talk about wanting your children to inherit this town, think about how many of your children and grandchildren could actually afford to live here. And I want to see that change. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so we're going to go right into our first question and go by alphabetical order. So this one's going to go to Mayor Caldwell first. Our city continues to grow and change. How do you plan to balance growth while maintaining quality of life for current residents?
That's a great question. If you haven't noticed, we've been growing, and screaming "we full" hasn't worked yet. So we went from 4,500 people in 1990 to 40,000 people in the city of Woodstock today, which is obviously incredibly rapid growth, and we have a lot of work to do to catch up on the infrastructure. But the bigger metric that I want you paying attention to is not just the growth in the city. From where you sit right now in all directions, go 10 miles, you have 500,000 people. And so the reality is, in one of the most visited cities and one of the most traveled through cities in the state, it is not growth in Woodstock that's driving strain on our infrastructure. It is the unfettered growth all around us. And so one thing that Woodstock wins constant awards for is our planning. We do a spectacular job. We are actually the poster child throughout the state, and we get to travel the nation talking about how to plan and build wise downtown urban redevelopment. We win the award. And that is because what we've done works. The challenge is that every one of those vehicles from around us still travels through here. And so we've adopted the first comprehensive annual transportation plan in our city's history. If you want to know what we're working on in transportation, go pull that. It's online. You can see hundreds of pages of projects that we're actively working on and the projects to come. We have chased that with a rapidity that has never been seen in the city's history. We've made the largest investment in our infrastructure in the last 4 years in our city's history. And if you've noticed orange cones, I would say I'm sorry, but I'm not actually sorry. I promised you orange cones, and we're delivering. We are working on every single major thoroughfare here in the city of Woodstock to make sure that we are improving that infrastructure, executing on the things that make sure that, yes, as growth comes to our region, we can continue to move cars, deliver the services that you're looking for, and deliver that downtown, real suburban character that makes Woodstock what it is. And then the last piece would be making sure that we're investing in public safety, and we have done that, again, to a degree that has never been done in Woodstock's history. We've added a 26% starting pay increase for our police officers. We've doubled the number of fire stations in this city now, broken ground on 2 new ones, because we have to make sure this is the second safest city in the state. The first is Holly Springs or Metro Woodstock. We're going to make sure that this remains one of the safest, best, highest quality life cities in the state.
Thank you. Now, Ms. Michael Jean. Our city continues to grow and change. How do you plan to balance growth while maintaining unique Woodstock quality of life for current residents?
So we have 85% of the population here in the city of Woodstock who make $200K or less as a household. Our police officers and our firefighters make, on average, 50, 60K starting out, and last I saw, the police chief can make as much as 100K. That means that most of the households, almost 50%, are at 100K or less. And those people can probably comfortably afford a $250,000 house. Maybe a little bit more if they've saved, maybe a little bit more if they've gotten creative. We do not have homes to serve those people. Part of the reason why we have such an influx of traffic is because people are having to come in from out of town because they can't live here. There is nothing available for them to live here. This is a challenging problem, but there has not been movement on this issue, which dramatically affects the quality of life for the people who do live here and the economy, because if you don't have people who live here, you don't have places to put employees, that affects your hiring ability, that affects the ability of companies to move here and start new jobs. So one of the biggest things that I see as an issue is making sure we focus on this workforce housing issue. It's great to increase the pay of the police officers 26%. I think they deserve every penny of that and more. They put their life on the line for us. But they probably still usually can't afford to buy a home here. There are creative ways that we can address that. And I would like to see our city focus more on those and focus less on patching problems as they pop up.
Thank you, and I did want to say, if you hear the occasional pops, it's because the system is 29 years old. It's not that we're banging the microphone in. So, Martha Jean, thank you for your last answer, both of you. Second question, I thought we'd do a really easy one. It's a yes/no. What are your top 3 priorities for your first year in office when elected, and what specific metrics could you use to measure success?
I love this question. I've worked as a data analyst for a really long time. I love data and metrics, so this is great. I'm going to go big picture with my goals. One of the goals that I say, if I come around, knock on your door, I say, I want smarter growth. What does that mean? It's great to grow, but if we don't plan in advance, plan what our streets are going to look like, what our infrastructure is going to look like, plan for more people as we add new housing, as we add new businesses here, we will keep having to have these issues where we're having to shut down traffic so that we can add a turn lane, or shut down traffic so that we can add a roundabout, maybe shut down traffic so that we can add sidewalks. What I want to see is more advanced planning. I want to see that when people come up to the city council and they say, I'm concerned about this traffic that's going to affect my neighborhood, affect my commute and my quality of life, that we have a solution instead of just hopes, dreams, and prayers. Related to that, I want to start fixing traffic problems before they happen, and that, to me, means that we need to create greater diversity of traffic management. That means have more bike lanes, sidewalks. So many of our neighborhoods don't have sidewalks. I've talked to people who say that they would love to walk with their kids the 2 blocks to go to the park, but they don't feel comfortable doing that because they are by a busy road without a sidewalk. So they get in their car and they drive those 2 blocks to get to the park. If so many people are having to do that, that's more people clogging up the road. Every person that you can persuade to take another safe method of transit, it gets them off the road. And again, the last thing that I want to do is transparency. How will we measure all these things? I think a good first step is some of the dashboards that the city has, but they need to be updated more frequently. You can right now go in and see how some projects are doing, but we need more specific updates. It's very hard for the people to find out exactly what's going on.
Thank you, Mayor Caldwell. What would your top 3 priorities be for your first year in office, and what metrics could you use to measure them?
Thank you, sir. 3 priorities are simple: infrastructure, public safety, and taxes. If you want to know what matters to the residents who live in our city, they want to know that nobody's actually anti-growth, everybody's anti-traffic. Nobody wants to sit in the car longer than they need to sit in the car to get to where they're going. So we're going to measure traffic throughput like we do currently. I appreciate and agree with the desire for more plans, except that I would point to all of the plans that we have. We do exactly that, and we win awards for doing it. We aren't just good at it, we're the best at it. And so I think we do a spectacular job of planning ahead. I don't know how you add a turn lane without closing that portion of the road. It's part of road construction. So we're going to continue to invest in the infrastructure like we're doing today. We have a plan. It's called the Comprehensive Transportation Plan. We're going to continue to execute on those projects. I believe that we need to continue to invest in our public safety. I told you that we have doubled the number of fire stations. We actually broke ground on one of them. We'll break ground on the other in about a month. We need to continue to lean into our police department. The pay increase that we talked about for police wasn't just because they deserve it. They absolutely do. It's because when I came into office, we had 16 vacancies out of 57 sworn officer roles. That's 25%. That impacts patrol. We had to get competitive and go compete in what is a zero-sum game of police officers in this state and make sure that they would want to come work here. We were at full force on the police department the first time in more than a decade. That matters. It matters to the safety of your homes, it matters to your children, and it makes sure that it's safe to walk to a park down the street. And then the last is taxes. We lowered taxes 15% in the last 4 years at a time where our neighboring city this year alone raised their tax rate by more than 25%. I'm really proud of the record that we've shown over the last 4 years, but if you want to know the top 3 priorities, those should always be the top 3 priorities for every elected official in a local office throughout the state.
Thank you, sir. So on to our next question. Woodstock has seen tremendous growth in the past decade. How do you plan to manage continual growth while preserving the charm and character that makes the city so unique?
I forgot it was back to me, sorry. Listen, I wholeheartedly agree. I think housing is the most important issue at a principal level that any of us could be talking about. It's fundamentally important because we built the largest wealth-generating mechanism in human history in American homeownership. We built the American middle class on homeownership. It wasn't accidental. We came back from the war. We passed federally subsidized mortgage interest rates, the GI Bill, state tax law that incentivized ownership, and local zoning law that incentivized inventory for ownership. We talk a lot about density, we talk a lot about growth. There is one metric you actually care about. When we want to talk about metrics to measure, it is the ownership-rentership ratio. For 3 generations, it was 65% home ownership in this country. We are continuing to watch that fall, and since the 2008 recession, have watched housing become dramatically unaffordable because half the developers went out of business, and the kids coming out of school at that time were told, hey, I'm upside down in my house, move into the basement, move into an apartment, you don't know what you want to do yet. Those kids are now 15 years in their career, they're wising up and they recognize they need to buy a house if they want to get into the same kind of wealth generation that everyone else has, except the inventory's gone. And so in this city, what we're going to continue to concentrate on is the same thing we've concentrated for 4 years, which is that ownership-rentership ratio. We sit at just about 65%, which has been the nationwide average for 3 generations. City to the north of us is nearing majority renter, city to the south of us is nearing majority renter. I can tell you how that story ends if we don't continue to concentrate on it. And so we're going to chase that because it protects the character of the town and that it makes a city of people who are building wealth for their families. We don't get to fix the housing issue alone nationwide. This is a massive issue. What we can do is show what free market-based inventory can look like in a high-quality fashion. We're doing a spectacularly good job with that in Woodstock. We have not approved... I hear a lot about apartments in Woodstock. We haven't approved one in more than 7 years in the city of Woodstock. What we have done is 180 entitlements that were on Main Street because I yell about ownership all the time. We're transitioning to ownership, which means people are going to be able to move into condos that they can afford. So no, I may not be able to deliver a 2-acre house with a white picket fence for ownership at an affordable rate in Woodstock today. But if we stop caring about walls and ceilings and floors that families share, we start caring about who owns the unit, we can continue to build a really strong, prosperous future for Woodstock.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Martha Jean. Woodstock has seen tremendous growth in the past decade. How do you plan to manage continued growth while preserving the charm and character that makes this city so unique?
I think what really makes the charm is the people, and that sounds trite, but it's true. If we got rid of every single person who lives in Woodstock, we would have cute streets and no charm, nothing. Very nice houses, but no charm, no reason to be here. And again, it's nice to say that homeownership is a way to gain wealth. I agree. I would love to be able to buy a home here in Woodstock. I rent because I cannot afford to buy a home where I want to live. It's a choice, it's a trade-off. Every month I pay a stupid amount of money for my rent that I can't save for a down payment because I'm choosing quality of life here versus a worse place to live further away. Maybe I should be making a different choice, but even if I were saving all that money, I don't think I could afford to buy a home here. We have not built homes that the working class, by working class I mean police, firefighters, teachers, nurses, the people who you interact with every day when you go out to Woodstock that you count on to save your life and take care of you, they cannot afford to buy a home here. And there are things we can do that don't necessarily involve a little white picket fence with a ticky-tacky, you know, like the song, all the same. There are creative things we can do to incentivize using the free market, creating economic incentives for developers, for people who can buy homes there's ways that cities can subsidize the loans, and the city actually gets a benefit from that, and the people who live here can actually afford to buy. Canton has made incredible moves in the right direction. They're exploring land banks. They're exploring all kinds of creative solutions, and we need that too. It's not a one-pronged solution. It's not a magic wand solution. It's creativity and a multi-pronged solution. And in the past 4 years, we have not added a single home, new build, in the city of Woodstock that fits those requirements.
Thank you, and Martha Jean. So let's look forward 10 years from now. How do you plan to address this housing attainability issue so that our teachers, our firefighters, our police officers don't have to commute 20, 30, 40 minutes each way to get here? And how do you counter that with balancing development with green space and parks and the charm and the character that we have in Woodstock currently?
So we want to have people, regular folks, be able to live here. We don't want this to be a bedroom community. There are some towns that are designed to be places where all you do is live. You don't really party there. You don't really go to school there. It's where you drive to, in and out of. I used to work in one of those. We don't want that. We want a place where the kids can play ball down the street, they can ride their scooters on the sidewalk, we can have an arts event in the park. We have to focus on attainable housing. I'm saying attainable, not affordable. We're not talking about subsidies and handouts. When I say subsidize alone, I'm saying that the city benefits from that as well. It's not giving you money and watching you walk away with it. We have to prioritize that more than prioritizing the $1 million developments that we've been prioritizing. We've had developments go up in places where if we had made a choice to prioritize homes for our firefighters and police officers, we could have had dramatic change in the attainability of homes, the attainability of growing wealth here. I also think we need to work with our communities in the area. It is absolutely correct that we are not the only town here in the metro area who deals with these problems. Everyone does. We all have things that we can learn from each other. For example, I gave an example of Canton. Yeah, they're different from us in a lot of ways, but they definitely have some things we can learn from. And we also could work together with the other communities to talk about these roads that connect us and the people who go back and forth on them, and how do we fix that in one cohesive plan instead of whack-a-mole 10 years after we've had to deal with the traffic backup.
Thank you, Mayor Caldwell. Same question, your vision. 10 years from now, how are we supporting our first responders, teachers, nurses, and maintaining the green space and the quality of Woodstock?
No, that's a great question. The first answer is that you're never going to build housing for every flavor in Woodstock. Our city is 13 square miles. I'll tell you, sitting with my police officers and firefighters, there are a lot of them who would like to live here who don't. There are a lot of them who do live here. But there are many of them who absolutely don't want to live here. They want 15 acres, and you're not going to be able to deliver that in the city of Woodstock, and that is okay. So the first thing is just recognizing we can't and shouldn't try to be all things for all people. But we do need to have affordable options for people who want to live in the city. The underlying challenge is you don't want the government dictating and building that housing. That is not our job. And so when we talk about the developments we're prioritizing, my answer back to you would be that we are prioritizing exactly what was just described, which is why much of what my opponent just described you get to enjoy in Woodstock, which is walkable streets and festivals on the art green and the shops and stores and multi-use. If you want to own a condo over those things, you can own that. If you want to own a house, you can own that. Now, yes, we have to figure out what that pricing looks like, but the underlying dirt in our city now is $250,000 an acre. So we have underlying economic and free market challenges that drive and make for different challenges unless you are absolutely willing to engage the government in direct subsidy and direct construction of housing. And that's just not what I believe our role is. And so instead, I agree we need to be partnering with communities around us. I told you I'm the vice chair of the Atlanta Regional Commission. I was appointed to that by the mayor of Atlanta, who he and I have a whole lot of partisan differences, but we find we work really well together on issues like roads, on issues like planning, because these are the kinds of issues that face all of our communities. The difference is the solutions that treat each of those communities are different. In Woodstock, we're delivering something people absolutely want. That's a good problem to have. We're not going to be all things for all people. That's okay. It doesn't mean we don't keep striving for everything. To me, I do think density is a key differentiator that allows us to offer more affordable options, but I can't offer every option at what we would call an attainable or affordable price in a city like Woodstock.
Thank you, sir. So switching gears a little bit. Traffic congestion remains one of Woodstock's biggest challenges. What specific, realistic steps will you take to improve traffic flow and transportation infrastructure? Say that 5 times fast. Infrastructure. Say that 5 times fast.
Well, I don't know if you guys heard about my comprehensive transportation plan yet, but we're actively at work on this because it matters. So what I want you to hear is, guys, we have pulled in more funding from all sources than ever before in the city. We've pulled down funding through the United States Congress from both sides of the aisle. We've pulled down funding from USDOT, GDOT, the Georgia Transportation Infrastructure Bank, in both loans and grants. We've pulled down funding from Cherokee DOT, from the Atlanta Regional Commission. And we've also provided our own local funding to go chase after every single major thoroughfare Woodstock has. How many of you guys have driven through? I know almost all of you have. The Hub Transformation Project in downtown Woodstock. That new roundabout, we 2-way Mill Street. When we launched that project, it felt like the least sexy project to pitch ever, because all we were talking about was a roundabout and 2-way mill. But the alternative to that project was a $27 million bypass that would have actually had less impact on the roadways. We brought in a consultant, we went through the studies, we figured out that if we were just 2-way mill, the challenge we were running into was all the parking that happened on the Reformation side of the road had to go up to Main Street, turn left, and then turn left on Town Lake Parkway to get back out of town, because 2/3 of our traffic comes from the west side. And the challenge that we created with 2 different left turns on our 2 busiest streets in the city created a traffic nightmare. We got that project done for less than 10% of what it would have cost to get the other project done, and we improved traffic flow on 7 major arteries. So ultimately, what we need to be doing is exactly what I just described, measuring. Let's see what the traffic flows actually look like. Let's come up with projects that cost effectively manage those with existing pavement or new pavement if we need it. But more often than not, we can solve this with the existing infrastructure we have. We're just smarter with it, and we're willing to measure. We're proving again and again in Woodstock that that is the approach we're taking. We built an entire comprehensive plan out of projects like that, and we're chasing after them with gusto, and it's working. So I want to continue to do that. I want to keep delivering projects that actually drive real outcomes for our residents and our visitors alike.
Thank you. Ms. Martha Jean. Traffic congestion remains one of Woodstock's biggest challenges. What specific, realistic steps will you take to improve traffic flow and transportation infrastructure?
So I'm going to get specific and realistic in a second, but first I have to say traffic is related to housing issues. Again, people are coming in and out of the city more because they can't live here. I'm not saying that we need to be all things to all people, but I have not seen any evidence that we are trying to be some things to the people who actually have working class incomes. Again, no movement on that. I really wish that we could get the city to have the same fervor and fire handling our housing issues that I hear about the traffic. I'm hearing about grants. I'm hearing about all kinds of creative ways to solve these traffic problems retrospectively, instead of being creative on the forefront and doing that from the get-go and taking into consideration the desperate need for housing. No one's saying that the government should give you a house. Nobody's saying that. We're saying have the same due diligence to take care of the people who are paying taxes here, who are coming to work here, who are sending their kids to school here, and take care of the need for housing, or else you are going to have a fairly dramatic change in how the city is. We do need to keep working on those plans. We've done some things. I gotta give the city credit for that. We've accomplished a lot of things with the traffic plans, but we haven't done everything that has been laid out in the plans. Realistically, could you? I think that if we look around at what projects have been focused on, we've been focusing on certain areas and ignoring others. We have a lot of effort in the downtown area and not in other parts of the city that still see some of those traffic chokeholds. Specifically, we need to actually implement the plans that were made and not just give it lip service.
Thank you. So, Martha Jean, your stance. we realize that housing has a lot to do at the county level with rules and regulations that are imposed upon the cities. So what is your stance, and how would you work with the county to solve or remediate, or at least make some attempt to build attainable housing? And does that involve annexation or expansion of city limits? How would you do that? And a little more time to answer because it is a complicated question.
So the Cherokee County has recently sued Holly Springs related to the boundaries of the city. We have an agreement that says how far we can build, this counts as a city, don't go beyond that. I think that we will get the most benefit from staying within the confines of the existing city limits, because whenever we build there, we get tax money from the people who live there, to put it very, very bluntly. Also, it's closer to a lot of the things that people want. Yes, some folks want to live out by a horse farm, but that's easier to find than it is to find someplace that's close to downtown that they can afford. We need to have more partnership with the county. Going back to an example of a county or a city that has done some interesting creative things, Canton has embarked on a land bank effort. And I know that our city council has considered it for Woodstock. Land banks are a way for the city to own for forever or a very long time the land, and then sell it at a discounted rate to certain subsections of the population who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford any housing. These aren't the same people who would want to go out and buy something at market value. These are people who really want to own something and are okay with spending a little bit less and having a few more restrictions on use of the house. So then we have housed people who are still paying taxes, still contributing to the city, still not contributing to all the traffic problems. So I think that working with the county on issues like that would be a great path.
Thank you, Mayor Caldwell. The same question, basically reworded maybe a little more coherently, sorry, is, we either need to build denser or get more land to build, and a lot of that's controlled by the county. What are your plans?
Yeah, thank you very much. I want to thank my opponent for referencing the agreement between the city and the county, because that was a campaign promise of mine that we got done. We didn't have a growth boundary agreement in this city before I came into office, and I told the county chair at our first lunch that I wanted to have one done in 100 days, and in fairness, I did fail. It took 101. But we got the first effective growth boundary agreement done in Woodstock's history, and since then every city in the county has adopted one. The reason that mattered is it's absolutely true that the county is now suing Holly Springs. When I came into office, they were suing Woodstock over an annexation. They were in the Supreme Court of Georgia. It was an annexation that, ironically, as a state legislator, I opposed, and then suddenly I was the mayor and got to play defense on it, and that threw me for a ride. But what it taught me was that we needed to be working directly with the county when it came to growth. And so we got together and we defined a growth boundary agreement within which the county wouldn't oppose us, and outside of which we would send developers back to the county so that we wouldn't find ourselves in disputes over and over again. And I'm really, really proud of that. It's not the fun, sexy front of the campaign push card kind of accomplishment, but it's the kind of accomplishment that keeps us out of the Supreme Court. And it turns out each and every one of us are both city and county taxpayers. So when the county sues us or we sue the county, we all get to pay twice. It makes absolutely no sense to find our way in those positions. And I'm really proud of the fact that we have not had a single dispute with the county since doing that. When it comes to how we work with the county on this, I actually think Franklin and Williamson County in Tennessee are a spectacular example of this. Williamson County, very rural county. Franklin, Tennessee, very reminiscent of a downtown Woodstock. And they had the same kinds of struggles, and what they came down to was an agreement where within the county, the unincorporated county, they had a 1 home per 5 acre restriction. And within the city limits, it was a go ham. And the reason for that was you want dense urban centers. In the city of Woodstock, we comprise 3% of the geography of Cherokee County. Okay, 3%. So anytime you feel like Woodstock's cut down every tree in Cherokee County, first I'll tell you we're a Tree City, USA, so no, we haven't. But number 2 is we could only cut down 3% if we wanted to. That's the whole city, okay? 3% of the geography. We make up 14% of the population of this county, but we are 40% of the GDP in this county. We are the economic backbone of the 7th largest county in Georgia. And it's because when you build those vibrant downtowns, you can really build a strong economy. We've taken our business revenues from $2.7 billion 5 years ago to more than $5 billion today. That's where the success of Woodstock comes from. It's the entrepreneurs who are building things in this city. And so I want to see us continue to partner with the county and provide and protect the rural nature of Cherokee County while also investing in and building a vibrant, exciting, arts, beer, and balanced budget-focused city, because it works. And so I'm really proud of Woodstock. I'm proud of the relationship we've built with the county. It works. We're able to work alongside them, manage growth together, and do this in a responsible way.
Thank you, sir. So switching gears a little bit, how would you approach public safety challenges related to growth, such as increased call volume, traffic enforcement, or emergency response time?
We have to continue to invest, and we have to continue to do it smarter than we ever had before. So that means partnering alongside our officers, making sure that, number one, we're cost competitive when it comes to pay for these officers. We got to make sure that we're competing against the jurisdictions around us. I say officers, this includes our firefighters as well, right? So firefighting, I think, is a perfect example of how we're trying to do this. We are making sure not just to expand the footprint of our fire stations so that we can maintain. This is where we get really nerdy really fast. This is local government, guys. Sorry, it's not the fun talking points. You would all pay a lot more attention to it on Fox and CNN. Instead, we talk about the real work. But you have an ISO rating of 1 in Woodstock, which means you have the highest possible insurance rating on our fire department. It puts us in the top 2% of fire departments nationwide. In order to maintain that, we have to maintain certain response times. That matters to you because it drives your insurance rates down, but it matters the most because when you call the fire station, you need to know that they can get to you when you need them, right? And so we are adding fire stations throughout the city to make sure that we can maintain that for the long term. And the reason that I'm so excited about it is we have a fire chief who came to us with a game plan on how we would add the long debated 3rd station. And the way that we were adding those firefighters and adding the headcount, he was able to add a 4th station without adding a single additional firefighter because of how we're remapping shifts and restructuring the department. That's smart growth. That is not the way government traditionally operates, and it is a direct reflection of the kind of staff we've hired in on our public safety side. We have some of the best police officers and firefighters in the nation here in Woodstock. I know every mayor says that. Go interact with these people. You will agree with me. We have an absolutely spectacular staff. They're executing in smart ways. They are bringing ideas to council. We don't execute on everything immediately because that's not how you want the government operating. You want us to be measured. You want us to work through it. But we're executing fast, we're responding ahead of time, and we're maintaining, again, that 2nd safest city in the state status. And I said earlier, Holly Springs is first. That's Metro Woodstock to me. We continue to build an incredibly safe city we should be proud to live in, and I think we have all the tools we need to continue that.
Thank you.
Minutes for your closing statement, Martha Jean. Go first.
As you heard tonight, I'm very passionate about achieving more for the people of Woodstock than what I think has been achieved. And I do think a big part of that has to do with what the priorities are. I've already told you that were I to be elected, I would make housing followed by the traffic issues my number 1 and number 2 priorities, housing for our missing middle. And I think that would help immensely with some of the other issues that are stemming from those 2 singular issues. I also encourage you to look into the issues around the erosion of our First Amendment rights, of our access and ability to speak our minds to the city. You need to decide for yourself whether you think that this is a problem that needs to be addressed. I do. I have very strong opinions, and I know a lot of you do too. And I think we all should be able to express those opinions peacefully, maybe sassily, but freely and safely, even if they're annoying, and even if they are something that challenges the status quo and the richest and most powerful in our town. That's my promise. If I am elected, I will make sure that your voice is heard, even if you don't know who your council member is and you don't even really want to speak to him. I will make sure that you get to give your input so that you know where your tax dollars are going before they go there, and you have say over it. I think that's really all I have to say.
Thank you all. To the Cherokee Association of Realtors, thank you guys for hosting this. Y'all been wildly good to me over the years. I'm just grateful. I'm very grateful for you guys as an organization, what you do for the community. To each of you who are here tonight, if you've been here for any period of time, you've watched me run for office. I've won some of them, I've lost some of them, but I've never lost the city of Woodstock, and I'm just grateful. I love this place. It's home for me. I grew up here. I absolutely love this city, and I know you share that because you're sitting here after 2 hours having listened to us, so thank you for your heart for this place. In 4 years, we have lowered the tax rates 15%. You had a real tax cut this year, not just in rate, but in real dollars. We have made the largest investment in our police and our fire in our city's history in the last 4 years. We've made the largest investment in our infrastructure in our city's history in the last 4 years. We made the largest investment because of your vote in our parks and trails in our city's history in the last 4 years. All the while, we saw a credit rating increase. We have recruited some of the very best public servants in the state to come and work for this city. We have an unbelievable team of 250 people who do a spectacular job for what is now the 20th largest city in Georgia. I'm proud of Woodstock. You should be proud of Woodstock. We have more work to do, like every city in America does, but we're leading. And other cities across America look to us because what we're doing works. So I'm very, very proud of the results we've seen. I'm raising my 4 children in this city, and it's not by accident. I'm here on purpose because it's a great place to live, to raise kids. I am building my business in this city, and it's not by accident. It's on purpose because it's an incredible place to build a business. I am not asking anyone to come and do anything in this city that I'm not already doing and willing to do myself. And I hope you do get to know your council members. I work with some incredible people on that city council, and I think you'd really like them because we're your neighbors. This is not some faraway elected office. This is the city council and mayorship in Woodstock, Georgia. We're your neighbors. We are leaning into jobs that genuinely matter. This city is large enough now that we can lead the way, and it's small enough that it can feel like a community and home. So I'm very proud of what we've managed to do. I'm here asking you, I told you at the start, it's a job interview. I'd ask you, continue to do your research. I agree. I think you're going to be really pleased with the record that you see, and I'd ask you for another 4 years to have the opportunity to go and see where this city can continue to build and go. Thank you for the opportunity. It has been an absolute honor to get to serve you.
Well, thank you so much for y'all watching the video, and you know what, if you were here in person, it was a wonderful event. Both candidates spoke so eloquently. There, you can tell they're very passionate about the city of Woodstock, and so we are so thankful to have been able to have this forum and a place for the city to catch and hear what they had to say.
And to let the public see the differences between the candidates and what they're passionate about. It was a wonderful evening. I think 150 to 200 people were here. It went really well. We look forward to doing this again in the future.
Yes, thank you so much for watching, and y'all have a good one, and make sure to catch the next forum that we put together.